Hi there, I've been quite busy, so I thought I'd just post a short video. I read a news item that said that France expects to collapse financially, and that it to resist that is calling on its citizens to buy French goods. Of course, there's nothing wrong with stuff that's made in France. You know, if you like good cheese and good wine and good meat and all that stuff, it's all made in France. It's a huge agricultural land. It's green, it's rainy, it's perfect actually. And a while back I was writing about renewables, and actually the funny thing is that with fiat currencies, you and a carbon credit society where oil provides the energy for production and is centrally distributed through the banks that create credit, and then you get the credit, you spend it on your fuel and you cannot repay it, which is how you get captured in a kind of a system of debt. You know, the opposite of that is of course that every country region is autonomous, and I created a web site called Agora-centric, which is focused on the town square with the philosophy and all that stuff. But basically that type of approach doesn't really work, because you know, it's like not like you kind of hold a light in the darkness and everybody will flock to you, and then if everybody does, what's the use? Everybody has to solve his own problems basically, and make sure that everything works around him. It starts with a local level, because that's how you create the most resistance. You know, if you want to resist for instance Wall Street, you can go to Wall Street and be 1,000 people in Wall Street, but it's much more obstructive to be simply troublesome around the country and from your own home. You know, you don't really have to concentrate, because if you concentrate, you are an easy target. That's also why these movements preferably have no leader, and why people that are leading them or are egging them on should not pretend to be the leaders. Actually, they should simply inspire people who are smart enough to do what they have to do. You know, this sounds a little bit revolutionary and all that stuff, but I think we are seeing a revolution, at least in the legal system, towards creating a society that is geared to continuing to use carbon credit, carbon fuels, maybe until gas comes on stream in large amounts, so that we can once again have a boom, economical boom, at least in some regions. But some regions will simply die out, and basically to ensure that they are now still being asked to start using fertilizer for their agriculture, which is very dangerous. You should never do that. If you have a rural agricultural society, you should not try to use fertilizer, because it's unnecessary and you create a dependency. But of course that's a whole side issue. So, but the opposite of a carbon credit system is basically local autonomy, personal autonomy, and that is very plausible to have that, because you can have a home that creates energy instead of using it, because it's well insulated, which means that you build it in the right way with a little thought put into it. You know, we have in Holland we have all kinds of new houses that have been built in the last 20 years, and if you study those areas, there's all nice rows of houses, and they're all oriented exactly the wrong way, so that you cannot easily use solar panels on them. It's almost like somebody thought about it, because it's always built in a piece of sand that nothing was there, and then suddenly there's here lots of houses and they're all built the wrong way. That's stupid. That's wasteful, but that doesn't have to be. Of course, you can build a house that creates energy, so you wouldn't be spending anything on your home. And you can of course make a water system that is renewable, and you can make a sewage system that is renewable. So you wouldn't be spending anything on your home. You would have to maintain it. You have to have some physical labor. And then of course, if you would calculate how much work is done by your baker and the farmer and everybody that you profit from, that you of course should have an economy with, which is quite impossible by the way, but anyway, if you simply want to make those kind of items free of charge, and then you give the farmer the privilege of doing the job of a farmer if he prefers to do that, then you would have to have renewable sources that cover the energy need. And that's of course a challenge, and that would mean a different society. And that's but that's all, let's say that's a small price to pay, because you know, personally, if I have to be happy I would be somewhere in an area, a warm place in Italy or something like that, with a nice view, a little table, glass of wine, a little cheese, and and a little bread, or a meal, a dinner, which is also lots of vegetables and some meat and stuff like that. And just other than that, I'm not sure what really. And I like sailing, but sailing, that doesn't have to cost anything. All these things don't have to cost anything until you start believing that they have to cost something. And until somebody designs it for you in a way that it doesn't work. And economics, this is a little bit a random talk, or it seems to be like that, but it isn't, of course, because if you look at countries, what economics wants you to do is to create interdependency between countries. Why? Because because it makes more efficient use of the carbon reserves that you have, carbon credit that you have. But it also creates a need for a banking system, creates a need for logistics, which is a huge carbon consumer. And it makes you, and it locks you in, because you have a dependency. Somebody told me that he lived in Lithuania, or Lithuania, I believe. That's up north. And he said, well, the economy really crashed before communism. We had lots of pig farmers and stuff like that, and we had everything. And then communism came, and they had the 5-year plans, and they basically made an economical calculation that, like, Latvia would make the car tires, and Croatia or Serbia would make the steering wheel, and that was very efficient. But of course it was an economical control mechanism to lock these countries into their interdependence and their dependence on the central state. Because what happened after the Berlin Wall fell is that suddenly you had a country that could only make car tires. Basically, to abstract a little bit. That's stupid. But it serves a purpose, which is it allows control, central control, and it maximizes carbon use, while at the same time also maximizes the efficiency of its use. So economics, I would say, is about finding the most efficient utility for the most carbon possible. That's economics, maximizing that. Anyway, so, but that doesn't have to be, and especially with renewables, you are completely, it's completely unnecessary to do these things, because, a region can have a central bakery for bread, where all the farmers bring the bread. But that bakery can run on renewables, because of course you can make an oven running on solar panels or on wind energy, and it bakes the bread. So you don't need energy for that anymore. For the logistics, you can use electrical vehicles, which are also charged by solar panels on the roof of the bakery or along the road. You can change the whole system. You can still centralize and you can still automate, but you can do it with renewables, and then you get much more regional strength. And actually, if you, let's say, if you're a front runner in terms of renewables and you have a population that knows how to be a little bit more frugal, which basically has a media that is quite well protected in terms of quality, so you're not being told to screw yourself and to lose yourself, to drink a lot of all that stuff, to go to Vegas and gamble and waste your money and to go to that. There's nobody that can really ask you to do that in the media, because there's laws against that, so your legal system is still on the level. If you have a country like that, then I said in an earlier video, you should build a big wall around it and not let anybody in. And of course, I mean, who needs international trade if you can make everything yourself? And of course, an obvious example of a country that has a lot to offer is Germany. If you make farming more intensive in flats, that's not green, but it can be very friendly to the animals the more efficient you do it. But if you do it with renewables, you suddenly don't have that much of a need for efficiency. You can simply make it perfect for the animals. So let's say you have a pig flat, there's a design for a Dutch pig flat. Okay, so then you can make your meat in your own country. You can grow your crops in your own country. You're Germany, so you can make all precision instruments and cars and whatever else you need in your own country. And you have nice houses, you have plenty of land and forests and mountains. Okay, shut the door. That's it. And Germany is another good example, because it used to be forced to be like that, because it used to have small regions that were locked in the land and locked against each other, and they were competing against each other for having the nicest church bell and whatever. My family is German, very long time ago. And why not? You know, why not? If you have enough to eat and if you have enough to drink and if you have ownership, if you own stuff, if you have your house that you, if you can be proud of what you do because it's your work, you know, if you can add the quality of life to other people, then you know, why not? Strictly and only because we're all competing for carbon fuels. We're all cutting off the corners and we're all making the houses ugly and we're all watching bullshit television and we're all using products that break down and don't add any quality of life. Actually, the best commercial product is of course one that leaves you empty and craving for something to fix your problem. That's economics, because it's economics of waste and of dependency, basically. You're all Holland is more the inventor of dependency, because we used to have the Coke factory and we used to make tobacco, and now we have oil and we have all kinds of other patents. We used to make ecstasy legally, all that stuff. But anyway, and that's maybe how you earn your money if you are a flat country, very boring, and you have a coast and everybody runs over you like that, like Holland. Just whatever, it's undefensible. We can stand with a gun on our beach and everybody will fly overhead, and that's the end of Holland. That's a pity. But anyway, so my message to France is don't worry about that. And I'm about the financial system. Yes, fully depend on your own economy, which would actually mean about the same as having your own currency again. Because of course that money, the euros, are going to circulate more locally, which is fine for me, because it also saves carbon emissions with the logistics. But you know, France would be a nice, or France, I have to say actually. It's France, la France, the douce France, the soft French. Would be a good study to see whether that country can be 100% independent. So whether it could basically, theoretically, build a wall around its shores and borders, and not let anybody in and not let anybody out, but still keep everybody happy. You know, ultimately the Earth is also a prison for some people that are talking about going to Mars, and I think they should build a big catapult somewhere to put all those people that try to keep the vision of colonizing extraterrestrial space, while not caring for our own planet and not directing that money to protection of our ecosystem of our own planet. You know, build a big catapult and shoot them into space and see where they end up. And if they're happy there, ultimately we're stuck on this planet, and we should make this planet viable for life. And at the moment that's not working. So maybe after Germany, France will become a very major renewable powered country, and an example that you can make a robo economy, as I call it, which is an automated economy running on renewables, which can repair the ecosystem and also leave quality of life really high for whoever believes in it and participates in it and allows it to happen, and also kicks the balls of whoever tries to prevent it from happening. It's an oil cartel. Has to be broken, in my opinion. It's a banking cartel. It has to be broken because it belongs to the oil era. It's a carbon credit system, and the sooner that happens, the better for everybody. Anyway, so now you have a lot of this is like the most random video I made, but thanks for listening. If you did, enjoy your day.